Hi guys, this is TC Lee, and this is an update of the All About Alkosh for the Markarth DLC. So I just want to quickly talk about everything to do with Alkosh, what's changed, when you do and don't need it, and just give you the information to do with Alkosh for this updated patch. So, first of all, what's changed? Well, Alkosh has not actually changed. It's pierced armor that's changed, meaning we now get almost 9k pen from pierced armor. Another change is that Nightblades now have a passive where they gain almost 3k pen when they are flanking a boss. So this is when they are stood behind or to the side of a boss and not directly in front of the 25% boss's view at the front. So what this means is Alkosh is not actually really needed anymore in some situations. So essentially you don't need Alkosh in any situation where you're in a progression group who don't provide enough synergies. You don't need Alkosh if you are an inexperienced tank and struggle to keep an 80% or more Alkosh uptime. If your group is mostly Nightblades and Necromancers, especially Magicka, they both have pen passives, in which case you don't need to use Alkosh because you're going to be already at the pen cap or almost at the pen cap without Alkosh if your group is mostly Nightblades and Necromancers. So you do need Alkosh for some situations, mostly if your tank consistently keeps a high Alkosh uptime, and for situations where it's needed, then you should use it. You do need to use Alkosh in Sunspire unless you have a really low Alkosh uptime, because the bosses in Sunspire can't be flanked. So, for example, Nightblades will be missing out on that 3k pen in Sunspire. So you still have to use it in Sunspire if you are capable of doing so. If your group's providing the synergies, if you've got the tank who can maintain the uptime, then you should use it in Sunspire. You should also use it for ad pulls, as it's a much faster way to AoE debuff a whole stack of ads so that they're at max pen straight away nice and quickly and they can be killed as fast as possible. You should use Alkosh for stamina groups, mostly because stamina require a lot more CP into piercing to reach the pen cap than Magicka do, so it's a good idea to use it for that. It could be used by a DD in that situation. So one of the damage dealers could run Alkosh if the tank is not very good at maintaining it, so you could put it on a DD as well. If your group has more than 2 DDs that are not Necros or Nightblades, it's probably worth using Alkosh. So if there's like 3 or 4 DDs that are on Dragon Knights, Templars, Sorcerers or Wardens, then it's probably worth bringing Alkosh back into the mix because you're having quite a lot of damage dealers there that are having reduced damage by it not being used. So a general overview of the situation is, in situations where you do need Alkosh, especially in Magicka groups, it's probably more reliable to actually use Torug's Pact instead, since you get almost 1k pen from Torug's, and all you need to do is place Blockade to maintain the debuff. So you get 1k pen just by keeping your Blockade down, targeted on the enemy, and your Alkosh relies on your group to provide the synergies, which is not always a guarantee. So if you do need Alkosh and you're in a Magicka group, it's maybe an idea to consider using Torug's Pact instead, because it's a much more reliable debuff in terms of boss fights, especially single target boss fights. So it might be worth bringing in Torug's into that situation and using that instead for the guaranteed 1k pen versus the inconsistency of potentially Alkosh. For progression level groups, you will get a much better performance from putting CP into piercing and erosion than you will from using Alkosh on a tank who can't maintain the debuff and a group that can't provide the synergies. So it's just an easier way for progression groups to put the CP in. It means they can do more damage because they're able to hit the pen cap, they're able to get the maximum debuff, they're not relying on a tank who can't sustain or maintain it, they're not relying on DDs and supports to provide synergies that they're not able to provide. So in progression groups, use the CP instead of the Alkosh. So the 8% uptime comes from just a general kind of process. So 20% downtime of Alkosh is where it really begins to negatively impact your group. Any downtime has a negative impact on your group in a situation where they need the pen, where you don't have the Alkosh debuff applied and your group's relying on it. The performance starts to dip. When you start getting under 80%, you're spending 20% of the fight without the max pen, so it starts to get worse and worse. And the further down you go, obviously, the worse it gets. So I kind of set myself a benchmark of 80% for where it's worthwhile using and where it's reliable to use. If you're not hitting that sort of number, it's having quite a large detriment on your group's total DPS. It would be far better to just put the champion points into the pen, into erosion, into piercing, and then the tank can potentially use another buff set. So if you've seen my other video on Gallonway, for example, that could be another option to increase DPS in an alternative way. So that's it from me. I just wanted to quickly clear up the details of Alkosh for this patch and kind of refresh things based on the previous All About Alkosh video. So thank you for watching. Make sure you check out thetankclub.com for more information and discord.gg/thetankclub for any discussion on this topic. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Bye bye for now.